appears as though we're seeing supporters of Hamas pop up every day. Just this week here in Australia, organisers of a pro-Palestine protest at a university called ANU went on national radio to admit that they're strong supporters of the terrorist organisation Hamas. Oli, you've revealed that there's evidence that Hamas terrorists are now making money on social media app TikTok. You've posted on X that the Chinese-owned app is allowing multiple Hamas accounts to make money via the live stream gift feature. Can you explain how this is happening?
Yeah, I've seen several examples of Hamas terrorists wearing full Hamas gear, holding a gun, live streaming from Gaza, and people around the world are sending them stickers and gifts which convert into monetary value. And, you know, TikTok has not been doing enough to clamp down on this. We saw last year TikTok had the Bin Laden's letter to America trend, which got tens and tens of millions of views. TikTok did take action, but it took them several days. And, you know, TikTok is not doing enough. They're allowing pro-Hamas propaganda to spread. And many of these university students from Columbia to Yale to Harvard, they are getting their anti-Semitism, they're getting their information from TikTok, which is notoriously pro-Palestine and anti-Israel. So I think TikTok is a significant threat, especially when it's indoctrinating youth to become hateful towards the Jewish community.
US Congress recently passed a bill proposing to ban TikTok over national security concerns. What's your view?
So President Biden did actually sign that, which now gives TikTok around 9 months to divest and sell the company or face an outright ban. And TikTok is, of course, going to appeal this. It's likely they're going to do a lawsuit and say that this is violating their First Amendment rights to free speech. However, TikTok has said they're not going to sell. They refuse to sell. They're going to fight this case. And the Chinese government has interestingly said they do not want a sale, but if a sale is forced, they will make sure that the algorithm is what is not changed. They want the algorithm to be the same. So the algorithm that promotes transgender ideology, the algorithm that is anti-Israel, is pro-Democrat candidates, anti-Republican. They want to keep that algorithm should the sale be forced.
OK, finally, before I let you go, Oli, we have to talk about Scotland's outgoing First Minister, Hamza Yousef. I said on Sky News earlier this week, he's the man who made the headlines around the world for all the wrong reasons. He's a person who's become obsessed with identity politics and, of course, has had a pretty big failure when it comes to listening to women, and that may have contributed to his political demise. Oli, how would you describe the legacy he leaves behind?
Well, you know, Hamza Yousef is a deeply unpopular figure in the UK, you know, perhaps more unpopular than Meghan Markle, and that really is saying something. You know, he's been divisive. In 2020, he had a speech in the Scottish Parliament where he was lambasting too many white people in government in positions of power, even though Scotland is 95% white. He then, of course, had this hate crime law, which went into effect on April 1st, April Fool's Day. And he actually received thousands of complaints, more than J.K. Rowling, for his divisive anti-white speech from back in 2020. So he's been incredibly divisive. This decision, however, does come because he abruptly cancelled a power-sharing deal with the Green Party in Scotland, causing them to say that they would vote against him in a no-confidence vote. So he really didn't have a political future. But I think a lot of Scottish people and people around the world are breathing a sigh of relief and hoping that he is replaced by someone that actually is less divisive and focuses more on protecting Scottish people and protecting British interests.
And you're right, we've heard people in Scotland and right around the world express their joy, and many have said good riddance. What does the SNP need to learn from this? As Hamza Yousef lasted just over a year, will his successor be any better?
You know, SNP has had scandals in the past. Of course, you've had Nicola Sturgeon. Her husband has been arrested multiple times over corruption allegations. So they have a kind of a checkered past. Labour, which is led by Anna Samwar, who is also very divisive and said a very similar speech to Hamza Yousef regarding Scotland being full of too many white people in positions of power. He actually, in the last poll conducted in March, he was leading by 1% in terms of popularity. So if there is a snap election, he could well become the next First Minister. And, you know, he has been divisive. He has said that he will add misogyny to the new hate speech law. And that could also include transgender biological males that can claim misogyny should that law go into effect.
Okay, we know J.K. Rowling has been critical of Hamza Yousef, saying that he's experiencing karma right now. Is it a win for J.K. Rowling and women's rights campaigners?
It absolutely is. I think the way Hamza Yousef conducted himself, personally attacking J.K. Rowling, I think that's unbecoming of somebody that's a leader of a country. Their job is to create unity and to speak with people that have different opinions. He should have been meeting with J.K. Rowling, with women's rights campaigners, meeting with trans campaigners, and trying to find some kind of middle ground. How can we make sure that everyone feels safe, everyone feels comfortable, everyone feels happy? But, instead he just used his Twitter to attack her, which I think as a leader is completely wrong. And I think any next leader of Scotland should be consulting with women, because we've seen, obviously, there were transgender prisoners in women's prisons. That has now been changed due to outcry. And now we're seeing transgender activists trying to use the new hate speech law to report misgendering. So there needs to be some changes, but the next leader needs to consult with people with different opinions.
Absolutely. Author and media personality Oli London, thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour.